is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me on this beautiful Sunday evening is Luis Barranco. Another weekend of baseball is in the books. Luis, another birthday for you is in the books.
Sir.
How you doing? How was the birthday weekend?
Oh, birthday weekend was great. One of my better ones, Me and the squad went out, had a nice dinner on Friday night. Got some drinks afterwards. Celebrated on the beach yesterday a little bit yesterday afternoon. Got after it. Got a lot of baseball in. It was a good weekend all in all. Thankful for all of our listeners and all my friends. So, can't wait to many more years.
Glad to hear it was a good weekend. Yeah, I sense a little nasaliness. I don't know if that's related to the weekend or
no,
sickness.
I'm not nasally. I'm fine.
Okay.
The one thing I will say is that that you said I wouldn't make it to the podcast on Thursday.
No, I just said I hope. I said I hope you make it in one piece, and you have arrived in one piece. You have, yes.
What was your expectation of the weekend from what you saw on Instagram and everything? What were you expecting today at 5:00?
Kind of what I'm seeing right now. A little congested. I know you'd push back, but I feel like there's a little congestion.
I'm not congested. I'm fine, but we're in one piece, right?
You're in one piece. That's all that matters. The safety.
Did you think I'm like, whatchamacallit? Do you think I was going to come like without any baseball knowledge this weekend, or you think I was going to be a little rough? Like
maybe this weekend more than others, a little less of baseball watching was done on your end. I don't know though. I mean, it seems like we were chatting pre-pod. Seems like you were pretty locked in on these games. So I think hopefully this should be a good podcast still.
What do you mean? It's a locked in sports podcast. Like, I have to be locked in. Like,
it's always good.
We have to get locked. Like, there's things in our lives that happen, but you always have to keep it locked. You can't just not. So it's good. It's good. Updated my belly too. Had to update the belly. I know if they want to plug up the podcast for the weekend, belly.
Yeah, the food tracking app. Any good spots?
Oh yeah. Had a nice little spot this weekend. Dinner on Friday night would be a spot that the boys would love. I know Armand would love Friday night dinner. Armand is a sucker for some good tzatziki and some good Greek food. So definitely a solid spot. But yeah, a lot of baseball action went down this weekend. I mean, where do we begin? It's one of the best. Well, what's up? What do you want to go with
before we start? Should just say subscribe on YouTube, Locked In Sports Pod. If you're listening on Spotify, go over to the YouTube. Click that subscribe button. We're up to 59 subscribers, trying to get to 100 on the year. We're getting close, so let's keep pushing. Also, follow us on Instagram. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. We keep getting restrictions, and I don't know why. We're trying to figure it out. It might be the Dodger fans that didn't like the one clip, but follow us so you don't miss the content on Instagram, Locked In Sports Pod. And yeah, give us a follow there. Subscribe on the YouTube. Twitter, we're not as active, but follow us on Twitter as well. That's all I got. I just wanted to get that in there before we go on to the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, if it's the Dodger fans, like, come on, man. Like, it was Friday night. I was at the bar with my friends, and I was talking to people, and I was like, oh, yeah, I do a podcast. And, like, every time now that I go out, it's like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, I do this. This is my day job, and this is my night job. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, we have a clip with, like, over, 50,000 views on Instagram. And Dodger's like, oh, let me see it. And I looked up, and I was like, ah.
I'm sorry. That's really bad timing. I did archive it because I don't know. I thought the restrictions might be coming from that. So that made it. that clip is doing really well. It's almost up to like 10,000 likes. That's unfortunate. Look for you. You should have showed him the Aaron Judge one. That one has like.
I did. Okay. 33,000 views. So now instead of saying 50,000, I just have to say 33,000.
The Dodger one has like 330,000 views. I know. So, and it's all these Dodger fans just. A little sensitive bunch. We'll just say that. A little sensitive.
Hey, I mean, they're acting like Yankee fans back in the 2000s.
They've won one true World Series and one Mickey Mouse World Series since the 80s, and they act like they run the world. But anyway, we do like the Dodgers. We love all Dodger fans on here as well. We got to get to the Yankees recap, of course. Really fun weekend for the Yankees. Big game, huge game today. There's been a lot going on around, of course, the rest of the league. Cal Raleigh dude continues to hit home runs. The Rays continue to win games. So we got a lot to get to.
A lot to get to this weekend. First off, before we continue, how was your weekend? Good weekend? Solid?
Good weekend. Friday, subbed on a men's league softball game, so
Yeah.
naturally we got the win. Felt
There
good.
you go.
Saturday I had a wedding in Indiana, which was fun, and then today we went out to the beach in Chicago. Beautiful day here.
It is beautiful beach weather. I will say that. Like this week, I was at the beach yesterday. It is elite beach weather, beach and
Mhm.
baseball weather. The one thing I need is a TV with game on. That's the only thing that was
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah. I think
But
the last 2 weekends have been like the first 2 weekends that have truly felt like summer in Chicago. So it's been great. And yeah, you're right. I think the one thing I was missing at the beach today was like a TV to watch the Yankees. I just had it on my phone. So
yeah, we were doing pina coladas, and I just I had a DJ in the back. All I needed was the game on. But aside from that, we got a lot of baseball to get to. Um, let's start out and talk about College World Series. Have you kept up with it? I mean, I'm watching it right now, but was I sad
I
before
didn't
we
watch
hit?
on Saturday, to be honest. 1-0. I saw LSU won, and then today it's still pretty close.
Yeah, I mean it's 5-3 right now, top of the eighth right now. But yesterday was a big day in the world. But Cade Anderson did a masterful performance. 130 pitches and striking out 10 in their shutout win yesterday.
Mhm.
Like, what a dude. Like, we're going to talk about later about our MLB draft primer coming up soon in a few podcasts. But he is fully making it really difficult decision at number one for the Nationals. I know there's Ethan Holiday, the Holiday brother. He's in high school. I know there's Jamie Arnold, the left-hander from FSU. But Cade Anderson going lefty shutout. That's incredible.
Yeah, 130 pitches is crazy. Those college coaches don't care. They'll run those guys out there because they don't have to worry about their long-term arm health, right? They just worry about the 4
No,
years that they're at the program, even if that. So they just run those guys out there. But yeah, that's a really impressive performance. I'm sure he wanted to stay out there. And I was watching a little bit of it today. It seems like LSU. I mean, there's still some game left, but it seems like LSU is going to get it done. And they continue to dominate, man. That's a really good program. That'll be what 2 and 3 years because they won in 23 as well with Paul Skeens and Cruz on the team.
and what's crazy is the way they're turning out pitchers. Like Cade Anderson was so good yesterday that like you can make an argument that we could see him in the majors, like by the All-Star break next year. Like
It's one of
his
those.
he's one of those, like he's like ready to go. He's already had Tommy John. He had it in 22 August. Decent fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. Like get him in a good pitching lab, polish him up, and just throw him out there. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Nationals do. Number one, if they go get Ethan Holiday, or if they decide to go with one of these like polished arms like Cade Anderson. And I think we go back to older podcasts, like what's more valuable, a pitcher or a hitter? And I think this perfectly segments, like this segues into today's Yankee recap. Buck Showalter made a very good point on the Roku telecast that baseball is one of the ultimate team games because a batter, he was saying like Aaron Judge can't grab the baseball. Like as a coach, you can go to give the ball to Michael Jordan and be like, "Hey, go score for me." You can give the ball to Tom Brady and be like, "Hey, go make a play." In baseball, either guy has to hit the ball. There's so many variables that the hitter is not in control of. The most important the most important position on the baseball diamond has to be the pitcher because they control the game. And
Yeah,
that sets up the decision is like, do you go with Ethan Holiday or do you go with one of these pitchers?
I think if you look at it from a Nationals team perspective and just the way their roster looks right now, they desperately need some good starting pitching outside of Mackenzie Gore. And they have Abrams, Wood, and they have Cruz in that lineup as well. And I think a pitcher would make sense for them. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, they're a team that's kind of in free fall, continue to be in free fall, although they're having a good series against the Dodgers this weekend. But I feel like they're going to need some more pitching. I mean, we talked about James Wood last episode. I feel like he can be a star for them, is a star for them already for a long time. So I don't know. I think, yeah, you're right. It might be turning into a tough decision for them.
Also, imagine like if Cade Anderson falls out of number one and he ends up on the Angels. Think about him on the Angels.
Yeah, I've liked what I've seen from the Angels the past. I mean, I'd say in the month of June, if he somehow were to fall to number 3, Seattle, that's probably not a team that would look to draft him just because they have already enough pitching. Colorado, I mean, I hope he doesn't go to Colorado. That's where pitchers go to die, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's always interesting. That's what coming up in mid-July around the All-Star break, right?
Around the All-Star break. So we won't bore the listeners. Like, we still have to watch a lot of. I've started my dive into prospects on
Mhm.
Friday. I took a nice personal day for my birthday. Started watching some guys. I sent you one of the guys I liked, but we'll see. Long process ahead. And there's actual meaningful baseball we have to talk about. Let's not talk about scouting reports and potential, because at the end of the day, what gets GMs fired and gets people in trouble in life? It's all about potential. The potential of something happening, the expectation, that's what always gets people in trouble in society. But let's talk about the week that was for the New York Yankees. In this podcast, as we always do, we have our resident Yankee aficionado, William Locke, who has been a Yankee fan since the womb, since birth. And as we always do to start off the podcast, we always review the week or weekend that was for the New York Yankees. Before I begin talking about the weekend that was, can I just say how much I enjoyed the Roku game this morning? An
Okay.
11:30 start was nice. Like, the game ended around 1:32, and it kind of felt awkwardly nice. I don't know. I wanted to get your feedback on that.
Yeah, I thought it was a little too early. I will say I liked the game ending at when it did, super early, like you said. I think it's a little too early of a start, certainly for the players and like just the whole staff and everyone that has to be in the stadium for that. The stadium was packed, so I guess it didn't really affect attendance. It felt a little bit too early for me, to be honest. I wasn't the biggest fan. It was like I woke up at like 9, got to sleep in a little bit because we got home late from the wedding, and I mean had some breakfast. It's like, oh, I mean the game's on. I mean this is probably what it feels like living on the West Coast, I guess.
Yeah, that's how it was. I was a couple years ago. I went to go see one of my buddies out in California, and it was football Sunday, and no, it was college football Saturday,
Saturday,
and
yeah.
we woke up at, like, we were out in the bars the night before. We woke up at 8 o'clock, and I was like, oh well, you got Michigan State Northwestern
Mhm.
live on Fox. But I pleasantly liked how the game ended, and I enjoyed it. I think the telecast was good. They could have done better. Good voice, but solid overall.
I
Hats
enjoyed
off
the
the major. Hats off.
I enjoyed the telecast. I will say every time they cut to replay, small thing, but they had the star in the like transition screen into the replay, and it made me think it was an all-star game. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I like the 11:30 starts. Maybe that's something they do more 12 o'clock starts.
Yeah, 12 Eastern.
12 Eastern, so like 11 Central.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Maybe something like
yeah.
that. Because 11:30 is like 10:30. You're still, like, people getting out of mass, church if you go to church,
Mhm.
or you're waking up, whatever, like getting a bagel. But regardless, Friday night, I know you watched this game extensively. You were texting me while I was at the restaurant. The Orioles won 5-3. Uh, the Yankees got to Sagano. Sagano pitched 3 2/3, 7 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 1 homer. Uh, his control wasn't there. Judge homered in the third to get home run 27. Kobe Mayo singled off Freed, making it 3-2 in the sixth. Luke Weaver returned, but gave up a solo shot to Ramon Urias in the eighth, which tied it. And then Tim Hill gave up a single, which made it 5-3. Excuse me. Luke Weaver, the homer he gave up, made it 4-3. Felix Bautista got the save. How are we feeling about that Friday game?
Yeah, that was a frustrating loss. Reed didn't have his A stuff. He was still fine. It was still a good start, but not his A stuff. 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts, 105 pitches. He's at a 2.05 ERA for the season. Struggled early, and that's kind of a thing, it feels like, for Yankee pitching in every game this week, certainly, except Saturday when we'll get to it. But Schmidt was great. Freed gave up the run in the 2 runs in the first inning on that Gary Sanchez single. And then today we had Will Warren really struggle in the first inning. Like, Freed did a really good job of settling in after that first. It just came in the sixth when he told Boone, like, I want to stay in the game. Fernando Cruz was out there running in, thought he was going to go in, but Freed said no. He told Boone, I'm staying in the game. And then Mayo tied it up to make it 3-3. And, Weaver returns from hamstring injury. That's great. Right. But in the eighth, he didn't have his stuff this week. or on Friday night, and Urias hit the homer that gave him the lead, and it just felt like you could probably, and I don't know if we've been keeping track anymore, but chalk it up on the list of Yankee losses that should have been wins. If the bullpen and Fried maybe takes care of business in the sixth, and then the bullpen takes care of business after that, it's a win for the Yankees. Instead, they faltered and lost. 5-3 runners in scoring position. Yankees went 3 for 13 in this one. Stanton, Goldschmidt, Grisham, Volpe, and Wells all did not get hits in those situations. You only had Judge, who went 1 for 1, and then Jazz, who went 2 for 3 with runners in scoring position, which we'll get to Jazz when we talk about the Sunday game. But that felt like a game they could have won. It felt like they should have taken advantage more so of Sagano, who typically is a guy that has really good control, but did not have his stuff on Friday night. Had the 3 rocks, which is abnormally high for him. And I thought Baltimore's bullpen did a really good job as well. And their closer, Bautista, was really filthy in the ninth. So that was a tough loss.
Yeah, looking back at like reading of what happened and watching highlights, I kind of feel like you said like it's a typical Yankee, one of those Yankee way L's that we're chalking up. But aside from that, like the one thing I wanted to point out is how strong the Yankees pitching staff has been in this kind of like June kind of like downturn. Like there hasn't been a game that like the Yankees have been like completely out of it, down 10-0, where you're throwing out, Trent Grisham to throw pitches in the middle of a 7th inning.
Yeah, they've been playing bad baseball in the month of June for the most part, and it has not been for the starting pitching. The starting pitching has been, I mean, you could say elite. I can pull up the numbers here and tell you the ERA for the month of June, but they've been really good this month. And it feels like everyone is delivering when their number is called, when it's their turn in the rotation. We're getting good starts. Even if I mentioned like they struggle maybe a little bit early on in the game, they seem to figure it out late. And when you pull up the splits in the month of June, in terms of team ERA, the Yankees rank second in Major League Baseball with a 3.09. That's elite. In first place, you have the Houston Astros with a 2.75.
Which would be crazy because I think if you take out those Boston series where they put up 10 and 11 runs on those 2 nights, I think it'd be a completely different story from that first series up in New York.
In New York, yeah. So Friday, tough loss. Saturday, they win 9-0. I think this was a much needed bounce back. I wrote in the notes like they just needed a game like this. They hadn't really had one where it was pretty much pressure free. Obviously, played really bad against the Angels during the week, and then lost the first game of the Orioles series. So this was really refreshing. Didn't have to stress about this game at all. 9-0. You had the solo shots from Grisham, Escara, and Rice in the first and second innings. You had Volpe breaking his like 0 for 28 streak in the 5th inning with a solo shot that made it 7-0. And the story of the game, though, despite all of the runs, was, of course, Clarke Schmidt, 7 innings, no hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, down to a 2.84 ERA on the season.
That's my guy. That's my defensive guy. I've always been a Clarke Schmidt guy. I doubted him recently. I did throw him in trade talks, but he has a 25 and 1/3 scoreless inning streak right now.
Yeah,
like, that's close to Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown was at like 29 something, but like, man, talk about like the pitching staff. It's been like, Rodon hasn't been great lately, but Clarke Schmidt's been better. Then Fried hasn't been elite. Will Warren's been great. Like it's been like really good, and this rotation, I think you can put them top 3 in the AL, maybe top 5 in the whole Major League Baseball. They don't have the flashy names that you'd say like the Dodgers, where you have Yamamoto, Roki, Goslin, all those guys that they can throw out, but like they're getting it done. Like Yarbrough hasn't been great. Okay, well, you'll have somebody else step up, which is pleasant.
Yeah. Schmidt in the month of June has a 1.03 ERA, 4 starts, Cleveland, Kansas City, the Angels, and Baltimore. So maybe not the stiffest competition, but nonetheless, a 1.03 ERA for a month is incredible. I mean, he had a 3.14 in May and a 5.52 in April. So clearly he's been improving. It's a guy that didn't have a spring training, and that's something that maybe we overlook as fans, but really makes a huge difference. And when you hear these pitchers talk about it in interviews, the importance of ramping up as a pitcher in spring training is paramount. And the fact that he didn't have that this season with the injury, his first couple starts weren't great. 3 earned runs against Kansas City, 5 earned runs against Cleveland. We were worried, but he has just absolutely bounced back, and he's been lights out. We had the question mark earlier, maybe a couple podcasts ago, of who is this game 2 starter if the Yankees even make the playoffs, which is not guaranteed at this point. But it's Schmidt. It's locked in Clarke Schmidt. Yeah,
locked in Clarke Schmidt. Now, I think the Yankees have tipped their hand recently.
How so?
I think they've tipped their hand recently in the sense that, did you hear what they said about Luis Heel?
Oh, God. This is a classic Yankees. They're going to view him as a trade deadline acquisition.
They're not getting a pitcher. Let's temper expectations with them coming out and saying that we view Luis Heel like, oh, it's like getting a trade deadline boost. You know what that means. It means that they're not going to acquire anybody at the deadline starting pitching wise. It's going to be bullpen. And when you think about there's only going to be about 6 sellers, I truly think that it's going to be, Luis Heel, trade deadline acquisition.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm totally fair with them not trading for a starting pitcher. We just talked about how good the rotation's been. Earlier on in the season when we had Cookie Carrasco in the rotation, it probably felt that we needed to go out and get another arm. Now, when you've had guys like Will Warren and Clarke Schmidt really step up, even Yarborough, I know he just landed on the injured list with the oblique. Doesn't seem like it's too serious though. But those guys have stepped up. You probably don't need a bullpen piece when the pickings are going to be, you don't need a starting pitching piece when the pickings are going to be slim at the deadline. You want to use your assets in terms of what you're going to trade. You want to use them wisely, and a bullpen arm is more needed than a starting pitcher right now. And we've talked about it ad nauseum. Infield depth help. And there was a report I saw today that their Yankees have interest in IKF. They're monitoring IKF. So that's interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be IKF, man. Get ready. IKF, get ready to learn, IKF. You got Cam Schlittler coming up too. He's been pitching really well in the minors. I don't know if you've kept up with him. Mm-hmm. And then they have the trade acquisition they got too from the Carlos Navarez trade with the Red Sox. I don't know if you've seen him pitch. I think it's Elmer Rodriguez is his name, I believe. Yeah, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz. So he'll be there. But aside from that, I mean, you got the Sunday game, and they won today 4-2. Barn burner, Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm's been on a heater lately. I have some stats for you talking about Mr. Chisholm. And I think you'd be very interested to hear about Mr. Chisholm and how he's been since the return of his injury in June. So Jazz Chisholm, since June 3rd, his return into the Yankee lineup, has played 17 games and has gone 21 for 60, 350 average, 4 doubles, 3 homers, 8 walks, 11 RBIs, 9 runs, 4 stolen bases, and 987 OPS. He's been pretty freaking good.
It's playing 70%, like he said in his press conference after one of his first few games back. He said he's just playing at 70%. He thinks maybe when he goes a little bit too hard at 100%, he presses and he's maybe overcompensating or something. So yeah, he was incredible. I cannot tell you how important that double that he hit in the 8th inning was for the Yankees that scored 2 runs. Very impressively scored Paul Goldschmidt from first base, who was pinch running for Giancarlo Stanton, which kind of just tells you how slow Giancarlo Stanton is. If Paul Goldschmidt, who's not necessarily the fastest guy in the world, is pinch running for you. But he scored from first on that double, and they were down 2-1 at that point in the game. You don't want to lose another series. That would have been 3 straight series losses, 2 to division opponents. The division has been on fire this month. That would have been devastating. And just that was, I mean, the crowd felt it, right? You could feel it all around the stadium. That was an electric, huge double for the Yankees in the 8th inning from Jazz Chisholm. Came up clutch. He also scored in the 2nd inning, banged up with the catcher who left the game for the Orioles. And then he scored in the 8th inning as well when Gary Sanchez dropped it. So he was all over the place, making plays defensively, scoring runs, getting clutch hits. Like it was the game of Jazz Chisholm. He was incredible today, and you could argue single-handedly won the thing for the Yankees.
Yeah, and I mean, his energy, I think, is infectious. When you have Aaron Judge not being Aaron Judge of 2025, and you have guys like Goldie that weren't in the lineup, you need some of that energy in the lineup to be infused. And so, yeah, like hats off to him. Ran out of his shoes. I mean,
Literally,
you need those wins on getaway day, especially today that they travel to Cincinnati to go start a 3-game set at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been pretty hot aside from this series weekend where they lost to St. Louis. But, you got to get on the right foot. Let's end the week off right. It's like, what do you do on Sundays, William?
meal prep, podcasts,
Exactly.
get ready for the week.
That's exactly what the Yankees are doing. They're ending the week off. They're getting ready to go on the road. So hats off to them.
Yeah, it was a negative week all in all with the Angels series. It would have been even worse, I think, had they lost this game. So winning today on getaway day, taking the series, you just want to focus on winning those series was huge. And I felt like they had more opportunities to score than the final score indicates. 4-2. Yankees were 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position, had runners on second and third with no outs in the sixth, and did not score. Judge didn't tag on that Bellinger fly ball. Questionable move from him. Judge is he's kind of been in a little bit of a funk. I know he homered on Friday night. He struck out a lot this week.
I'm telling you, I'm saying he hasn't been since that day off in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the numbers don't lie. I don't know if it's correlated to the game off though. Also Orioles had runners on first and second in the eighth with no outs, and Fernando Cruz came in and struck out 3 straight batters. So good outing from him. He's been, kind of up and down. Got a 6.35 ERA this month, was really good in April, but has struggled a little bit in the months of May and June. But I think that was huge for him to get those 3 strikeouts. We talked about Will Warren. He struggled early. Orioles got 2 in the first, but nothing the rest of the way. And that's a testament to Will Warren, who ended up going 6 1/3, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 86 pitches. Bullpen did its job. Tim Hill, despite the 2 walks, he didn't give up any runs. Fernando Cruz, and then our guy, Devin Williams, who we've kind of hinted at it the past couple episodes, but
he might be back.
He might be back. 1.35 ERA in the month of June. I'm telling you, the changeup looks better than it has all season long. It's just when that changeup is on, it's absolutely filthy. It's unhittable. Even though he's only a 2-pitch pitcher, it is truly a wipeout changeup. And he has looked really good this month with Weaver coming back from the injury. I know Boone doesn't want to necessarily commit to a closer. I think Williams is the dude right now. I think you got to ride the hot hand. He's earned that spot. Even in, toward the end of May, we were seeing some better outings from him. So, but really the last few outings for Williams, like the changeup has just looked nasty. And I don't know. I think he's the guy right now.
The airbender is back. And I think we do have a closer debate. And I think because of what's happened and because what Boone said, that like you said, I think it's Williams' job to lose right now in regards to the injury of Weaver, him not being himself. And, I feel he has a 3-week audition. I feel like once you get back from the All-Star break, it's a new slate. If you're going to switch a closer, probably switch it at the All-Star break. But I think they're just going to ride Devin Williams till the break.
Yeah, I think it was like August last year when Holmes got booted out of the closer role. I think you ride Williams the rest of the way. If you want to make a decision, on another switch of the closer, like you want to make that decision before September. Ideally, you have your closer locked in for the whole final month of the season, and then hopefully, into the playoffs if the Yankees do make it. But yeah, I mean, Williams has been great. I know the season statistics aren't great, but you got to look at just the improvement we've seen over the past few outings from him, and he's been great. And that, like today, it kind of just felt like the Yankees weren't going to do anything down the stretch. Like it was going to be another one of those games where the Yankees can't score with runners in scoring position. They're just making kind of silly mistakes with the Judge thing, that the not tagging up. So it felt really good for them to finally like fight back and get the win. And then the bullpen was lights out. So great win today.
Can we also talk about like how much analytics is getting me mad these days?
Clint
Like I
Frazier?
feel like, yeah, Clint Frazier and just like everything in general with the Red Sox and just analytics, man, is just ruining the game of baseball. Like I understand Devin Williams' numbers don't look great, but like let's see what has he done lately? Since Kansas City, he's been pretty freaking good. And now analytics is like, oh yeah, like Clint Frazier said, and I know you can pull it up, that he said that, oh yeah, they don't believe in players getting hot.
Mm-hmm.
They just believe that you are what you are. And it's just getting so annoying between the Clint Frazier thing of talking about how analytics, and then the Red Sox, how analytics is just really ruined that team.
That franchise. Yeah, I think a lot of the analytics also is playing a role in the lineups that the Yankees set every single day, which that's something that's kind of been bothering me is the Yankees don't have set lineups, and it's even like we faced 3 straight righties this weekend, and it was 3 different lineups. We had 3 different leadoff hitters. On Friday, it was Goldie. On Saturday, it was Rice, and Sunday, it was Grisham. Like, there's just no consistency in this lineup right now. You had Judge hit third on Friday and Saturday, and then second on Sunday. I'm fine with Judge hitting third or second or third, like no big deal there. Um, you're rotating Ben Rice, like he hits sixth on Wednesday, then he hits first on Saturday, third on Sunday. Giancarlo fourth on Thursday, fifth on Friday, fifth on Sunday. You look at Jazz Chisholm, fourth on Friday, fifth on Saturday, sixth on Sunday. Volpe, sixth on Thursday, seventh on Friday and Saturday. Out of the lineup today. I don't know. It's a little, and we've talked about how they have kind of maybe surplus to requirements in some positions right now with Ben Rice or with Giancarlo Stanton coming back, and now you got maybe 3 catchers that need to get playing time, need to make a decision there. But there's just you got Goldschmidt who crushes lefties, not as great against righties. Like so, you move him around the lineup depending on what type of pitcher you're facing. But I don't know. I feel like the team would maybe be a little bit more cohesive and would the lineups would work better if they just were a little bit more consistent because you got guys moving around all around the order every single game. Like every single day, the Yankees post a lineup graphic. You don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know. Just an observation I've made. It's something to watch, especially with Giancarlo being back in the lineup, and he has to be a DH. So we'll see.
I understand there's a time and place for everything, but baseball analytics is not propaganda I'm falling for in general. So,
I mean,
XWOBA, XWRC plus, like
we look at the advanced
I
metrics, and
know
there
there's
are
some of
meaning
them.
in those.
Some of them are, but there's so many like XFIP, X Sierra, like they just jumble up words. And like, yeah, there's some of them that are great, but I feel like there's more value into seeing the player play, seeing the content, the sound of the baseball. It reminds me of the movie Trouble with the Curve. It's exactly like the premise. Like I'm spoiling the movie, but Clint Eastwood's a scout and he's looking at this top prospect and he gets thrown a curveball and he's like, oh yeah, he can't hit a curveball. But no, but the analytics, everything looks great. I'm telling you, analytics is ruining the game of baseball. You've seen it with the Red Sox. Don't
But
let your franchise.
you also see it with teams like the Rays, who, if they didn't have an elite analytical department, they wouldn't be any good, probably. But they continue to turn out really good teams every single, maybe not every single season, but certainly this season, and with mostly guys you've never heard of.
I have my opinions.
There's pros and cons. I like a lot of these advanced metrics that we look at on, like Baseball Savant and stuff like that. And I'm sure there are models that all of these teams have that we have no idea what they're factoring in and how their formulas are working. But I do think there's value. I think where it maybe becomes too much is when you're letting the numbers do all of the talking and you're letting the numbers set the lineup every single day and you're letting the numbers make managerial in-game decisions. I think that's when maybe it goes a little bit too far for me, but I do think there is certain value in looking at these advanced metrics and making decisions with roster building. But I don't like when it affects every little aspect of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. LSU just won the national championship. we were going.
There we go. They're on fire. 2 and 3
They're on
years.
fire. Now, Jose Trevino revenge game. What do you expect this weekend in Cincy? Jose Trevino revenge game. Fernando Cruz revenge game.
Yeah, maybe Trevino goes yard. I think he's hurt though, right? I don't
No, he played today. Maybe Trevino throws out somebody. Maybe he just becomes an
know.
elite defensive catcher and throws out everybody at second this week. What do you think's going to happen?
That would be funny. I mean, it's going to be an interesting series. You got Yarborough on the injured list, so Alan Winans is getting the call up from AAA. He has a .90 ERA in 11 games and 9 starts in AAA this season, so good opportunity for him. You got Chase Burns making his MLB debut for the Reds on Tuesday night. He's going up against Carlos Rodon. That should be fun. And Fried versus Singer on Wednesday. And then Lodolo's going for the Reds on Monday. The Reds just lost 2 of 3 in St. Louis. Should be a tough series. If I had to make a prediction, say the Yankees win 2 of 3.
I'm concerned about that Rodon start, especially at a park like Great American. I'm very familiar with Great American. Was my home ballpark for 6 years, actually 5 years. Sorry, but the ball flies there. Aaron Judge will go yard when one of these 3 games. That's going to happen, and I think Stanton will go yard this week. But the ball flies there. It's not a place for fly ball pitcher. So you want to strike out guys, and Rodon is either a strikeout or it's a really high fly ball. And that's what concerns me, especially. Yeah. I think Fried will be fine. Tomorrow, I don't know what's going to happen. I've never seen Alan Winans pitch. And then you hope Tuesday you're able to get at Burns, maybe. Rookie first-stage hitter it's hard.
Yeah. It is one of those stadiums that maybe flies under the radar as being super hitter-friendly, but it is super hitter-friendly. Like, in the conversation with Coors Yankee Stadium gets a bad rap for being hitter friendly, but it's actually pretty net neutral because left center is deep. Nonetheless, should be a fun series. Cincinnati having a decent little season down there, and then it's the A's at the weekend at home, and then off to Toronto. So again, I mentioned it on the last episode. Huge stretch here, trying to finish off the first half strong, and getting the series win against a division opponent was massive this weekend.
So here's actually funny. We talked about some Great American facts. In 2020, ESPN's MLB Park Factor rated Great American Ballpark as the most extreme hitters park. It had a rate of 2.140 above 1,000, 1.000 favoring hitters. So it's the most home run friendly ballpark, in which number 2 is the Rogers Center, which is 1.657.
I would never think of that one as being number 2.
Oh, it is so hitter friendly. Like, I'm telling you right now, dimensions too. The left field it's only a 12-foot wall and only a right foot wall out to right field. 12 to left, 8 to right, and you only have 328 to right field to left field, 325 to right field, and 404 to center.
Yeah, it's a little league park.
There's a reason why Nick Castellanos had like that MVP year and got paid. Like, yeah. The dude literally raked at that ballpark. And that's what I'm saying. Stanton and Judge will go yard this week.
Okay. I'll say Ben Rice goes yard.
Well, that's your guy. Like, that's Clarke Schmidt. Clarke Schmidt is to me is what Ben Rice is to you.
In a way, yeah. Should we get to the rest of Major League Baseball at the weekend?
Oh, rate the weekend for the Yankees.
Give it a 7.5.
7.5. All right. Yeah, let's get to the weekend, my guy. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start at home? Do you want to go out west, or where do we want to go?
Let's start in Chicago. I think that series was pretty fun in Wrigley. It's
Talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, the Mariners take 2 of 3 in Wrigley Field. They had the Friday afternoon game, and the Mariners won that one 9-4. Saturday, the Cubs won 10-7, and then Sunday just went final. The Mariners won 14-6. It is truly incredible how Wrigley Field it can just be 2 different parks. When the wind's blowing in, it is one of the most pitcher-friendly parks in all of baseball. And when the wind is blowing out, it is one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in all of baseball. It truly is just at the mercy of the wind. And the wind was blowing out this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all 3 games. It was gusty and it was hitter-friendly ballpark. Cal Raleigh, we might need to have a conversation about Cal Raleigh being an MVP candidate seriously against Aaron Judge. 2 home runs on Friday night. His 29 homers at that point before the All-Star break set an MLB record for most by a catcher before the All-Star break, breaking Johnny Bench's record. Probably the best catcher of all time. Saturday, Cal Raleigh, another home run up to 30, and then he homered again today to make it 31 on the season. That one came in the first inning. A 2-run shot. You look at the numbers, you compare the two, Raleigh and Judge. So Raleigh has 31 home runs, Judge has 27. Raleigh has Judge beat in terms of ribbies, RBIs by a little bit. Stolen bases, Raleigh actually has more, and which is fascinating as a catcher. And then Judge wins all the slash line statistics, batting average, OBP, slug, OPS, and OPS plus. Like those are all heavily in favor of Judge, I would say at this point. Judge is more in WAR. He's played more games, more plate appearances, more hits. But just, I think the fact that Cal Raleigh is doing it as a catcher makes it all that more impressive. It's the best catcher season we've seen in our lifetime so far this season. Considering like the wear and tear he takes on his body behind the plate. And he's still going up there hitting absolute tanks. I know he hit a bunch of home runs at Wrigley this weekend, but he does play most of his most of his games in one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks in all of baseball. And he's, 31 home runs. He's on pace to hit, I think it's 66 this season. He's just been truly incredible. He finished with 34 last season and 30 in 2023, and he's up to 31 already this season. Just insane from Cal Raleigh. He's been a hell of a lot of fun to watch, and certainly the main takeaway from this Cubs-Mariners series this weekend.
So, yeah, he's on pace to break Salvador Perez's 48 homer record for most home runs as a catcher.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And then, he's no slouch defensively. Think about it.
Yeah, no, he's a good defensive catcher, good framer. And, considering how good that rotation is, he's the guy that is the bat. He runs that rotation. He's the guy that those pitchers rely on to help get them through the game. And he's caught some really good starts. Brian Wu has been locked down this season. Logan Gilbert finally returning from injury. So doing it as a catcher, I think, is a bump in his favor for sure. He's just been, it's hard to use words to describe how good he's been this season.
Yeah, he's a platinum glove winner. He's a gold glove winner. Think about it. He has a case. The only problem is he plays in Seattle, and the team's not as good as the Yankees. And again, Aaron Judge is on Barry Bonds level of numbers. It's kind of like going back to how we spoke about it with Jose Ramirez. If Jose Ramirez was in another era, then not the Mike Trout era, he would easily have an MVP. And that's what I think is going to negate the whole Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge debate.
Yeah, that's fair. I think another takeaway from this series is PCA maybe could win MVP this season if Ohtani were to get hurt and miss some time. I think if Ohtani continues to pitch, he's going to win it. It's kind of like just a default setting, which is unfortunate for the rest of the league because PCA has been incredible. He hit another home run on Saturday, his 21st of the season, and obviously continues to play really good defense. Although he did miss a couple tough pop-ups in the Saturday game because the wind and the sun was pretty brutal. But he's been good. Another thing that I was thinking about and wondering, could the Cubs have all 3 starting outfielders in the All-Star game? And the reason I bring this up is because Ian Happ had a huge weekend. Homered on Friday, his 9th of the season, hit 2 home runs on Saturday, 1 in the first, 1 in the second. He's up to 11 on the season. He's, the season statistic numbers aren't great, but he is one of the better defensive left fielders in all of baseball. He's hitting 250 with 11 homers, 762 OPS. He's in and around in the voting. I think last time the votes came out, he was 11th in terms of outfielders in the National League. It should be, in my opinion, James Wood out in left field, but you have PCA, who I think should be the starter in center, and then Kyle Tucker is going to be the starter in right. If Ian Happ just continues to go on a tear through the All-Star break, they could have maybe not starters, but all three of them will be in the All-Star game.
What's the vibe like in Chicago with that? Are fans up for it, or are we already talking about Caleb Williams?
Oh, no.
Season?
Cubs are the talk of the town right now, dude. Everyone is ecstatic about the Cubs. They haven't been good since, I guess they made the playoffs in 2020, but that was a weird season. So like the years after the World Series is like, I think the last time I've seen Chicago as excited as they are right now. And, PCA, they love PCA. He's up there with Caleb Williams in terms of popularity in Chicago, for being honest. And I know they lost the series, but they should, as long as they don't fall off a cliff, they should win the division. You got Shota coming back next week in Managa. They're really excited about the Cubs. And last thing, my theory, I don't think the Cubs are going to re-sign Kyle Tucker. I think what they're going to do is they're going to let Kyle Tucker walk. Kyle Tucker might be one of those guys that goes to the highest bidder. I heard a report about San Francisco being interested, which would be great for the Giants. Boston, maybe. You have the Dodgers that'll be in the mix. I don't think the Yankees will be in the mix. Either way, he's going to get a huge contract. He's in his, I think he's 28 years old. He's going to get a big one, 10-year deal, $500, $600 million, whatever. And the Cubs will let him walk, but they'll re-sign PCA in the offseason to an extension. And they'll be like, the reasoning they'll give is, well, we didn't need to re-sign Tucker because we have the next Kyle Tucker, but maybe arguably better in Pete Crow Armstrong. That's homegrown, fan favorite, and he's going to be the next guy for the Cubs for the next 20 years. And yes, we didn't re-sign Tucker, but we got Hap, PCA, a good pitching rotation, and a bunch of guys to carry us forward. I think that's what's going to happen in Chicago. We'll see. I think it would be amazing if they can re-sign both of them. Given what we've seen from the Cubs and their spending habits over the past couple off seasons, I don't think it's going to be both of them.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the picture with him and Sammy Sosa?
I did, yeah. Sammy Sosa returned to Wrigley for the first time in 21 years on Friday.
Yeah.
And I did see that. That was cool. I mean, Sosa, he's one of those all-time great Cubs. I know he had the whole steroid thing that maybe takes a little bit of his, mystique away, but he was great when he was in Chicago.
It was great. Let's say I bet you need a little bit of water. You did a lot of Cubs glazing just now. Like we went on like a 5-minute tangent on the Cubs. I think that's enough Cubs talks for the podcast for
And Cal Raleigh.
Yeah,
and also just noting that Kyle Tucker is not a Boras client. So
that has to be put out there. Texas and Pittsburgh. Rangers played the Pittsburgh, I was going to say Steelers, with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Rangers won 2 out of 3. Rangers on Friday, led by Jacob deGrom. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. That's 12 straight starts, allowing 2 or fewer earned runs with 6 or more innings pitched. Seager homered on Friday. Adolis Garcia doing a great job out there in right field. And then Kumar had himself a nice little start, 5 1/3. 5 hits, 2 earned, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts, winning on Saturday. Pirates won today, but who really cares?
Yeah, the Pirates win today, whatever, 8-3. But Adolis Garcia did have a really good game on Friday. 2 great catches in right, and then hit the homer to make it 9 on the season for him. Rangers probably not going to be in it in the West at this point. They're 2 games under 500. The rotation has been so strong, but again, the lineup has struggled. But you got Seager back from the hamstring, so let's see what they can do the rest of the first half if they can finish out strong. I think they're an interesting team because they're hovering around that 500 mark. They're in, striking distance, but it's Baltimore, Seattle, San Diego, Angels, and Houston the rest of the way for them in the first half.
I mean, don't sleep on Texas. I mean, they're only 6.5 back from the Astros. I know the Astros are 7 out of the last 10. They're on fire right now. They're right there. They're like only a game and a half behind Boston. Boston has 40 and 38. They're hovering at 38 and 40. So just invert the records. Texas has the arms. They have the hitters. They have the experience, the World Series DNA. I wouldn't sleep on them getting involved in that West or in the wild card. And the perfect segue to that, I mean, Toronto just lost 2 out of 3 against the White Sox, so they could be cooling off and opening the door for teams like Seattle, who, like we just talked about, won 2 out of 3. They're 4.5 back from Houston at 39 and 37, and like I said, Texas is right there. I wouldn't let the ship sail yet.
No, definitely not. It's again, it's going to be a product of the expanded wild card, and they're going to definitely convince themselves that they're in the thing, even though they're 2 games under 500. Which I don't know. I don't know if I've decided if the expanded wild card is good or bad for baseball. But yeah, you mentioned the White Sox. They do win 2 of 3 north of the border. You had Benintendi with a homer and Robert with a homer on Friday night. Benny Biceps went 2 for 5 with 2 ribbies on Friday. The Sox struck out 13 times and still won that game. They snapped that season high 8-game losing streak. And then Saturday, the Blue Jays won 7-1. Berrios was really good, 7 2/3, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Got homers from Vlad, his 10th. Feels like he should have more than 10 home runs right now. And then Bo Bichette had his 11th. Today, Sunday, the Sox won 4-2. Toronto was winning 2-1 heading into the 8th, but the Sox got 3 in the 8th to win it, which is, a tough series loss for the Jays. They were probably circling that series as one that they would win. Now they're 4 games back of the Yankees, who obviously won their series this weekend.
Yeah, tough weekend for them. I mean, Tampa this weekend. Good segue to Tampa. Tampa won 2 out of 3 today. This weekend, Rays won on Friday 14-8. Yandy Diaz has been an absolute unit in the past 2 weeks. 2 homers on Friday night. Riley Green also was on fire with 2 homers on Friday night. But man, Tampa keeps on winning. That's after Saturday's game. That's 22 wins out of the last 30. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they move the show on the road. But I mean, they're playing the best team in baseball, arguably, in the Detroit Tigers, and you're able to win 2 out of 3 at your park. Like, hats off to you.
Yeah, they've been playing really good. I mean, they've been probably the best team in baseball over the past 30 games. You're muted. Over the past 30 games. And you mentioned the road thing. They're going to be on the road a lot in July and August. That'll be an interesting storyline to follow if they can continue this hot streak. If you look at the month, there's home road splits. I mean, they're 27 and 23 at home, 16 and 12 on the road. So they've played obviously a lot more home games. Still have a winning record on the road. Let's see if they can keep that up in the dog days. Also, Junior Caminero has been incredible this season, I would say, downright. 265 batting average, 19 home runs. This is basically his first full season in the major leagues. 833 OPS. Not the best defensive center field or third baseman in all of baseball, but his savant page is pretty strong. Elite bat speed, doesn't strike out, only strikes out 17% of the time. 21 years old. This was a guy that, again, one of those top prospects that, a lot of hype when he's coming up. Gets to the major leagues. He's on a smaller market team that maybe people don't really pay attention to. He continues to just hit home runs, and the Rays might have their next star in Junior Caminero. I've really enjoyed watching him and that whole team. Obviously, as a Yankee fan, maybe not as much, but they don't even have Shane McClanahan, who's recovering from a triceps thing. In spring training. So we'll see when he comes back. They don't even have Hao-Seong Kim right now, which I believe we were told he would be back in May or June. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
There's a new report with that. They're saying he could be back by next week.
Okay. That changes things because they've been running like Cam Meisner a lot in the outfield, and also like Taylor Walls has kind of been their everyday guy who's a good defensive shortstop. Actually had a good weekend this weekend against the Tigers, but yeah, if Kim comes back, that could be huge for the Rays and their lineup. I mean, it's again not like the flashiest names, but their offensive statistics are pretty strong.
He started his rehab assignment last on Friday. Resumed his rehab assignment, so hey, shouldn't be too long. I mean, Tampa also Ryan Pepiot, your boy. Ryan Pepiot, I don't think it matters with Shane McClanahan. I think their pitching staff is solid. Shane Baz has really good stuff. Taj Bradley is a decent pitcher. They're a formidable out to be playing in whatchamacallit in October.
Yeah, I think I feel better about the Rays than I do most of the wild card teams in the American League, like a Toronto or the Rangers or the Angels. The Rays have Kansas City and Baltimore both on the road this week. Those are winnable series, and then they have the A's at home. Again, another winnable series. So they continue to play good ball, man.
Dream series probably for the Yankees is Tigers Rays in the first round in that ALDS.
Just get one of them out of there.
Yeah, I think that or even get Houston versus Tampa. I feel like as a Yankee fan, you want to avoid those three teams.
Yeah, yeah. Ideally, you get one of those. I mean, Detroit, unfortunately, is going to be the only Central team, though, and they're one of the best teams in baseball. We know the Yankees love to play a little Central team in the playoffs. I think MLB's worst nightmare is the Rays actually making the playoffs and playing a home series. I don't know what they're going to do. Would they move down to Miami or something, or would they just play it at Steinbrenner Field? I can't imagine that place hosting a playoff game, though.
Play it at Steinbrenner Park, baby. Just imagine. I just think it's just a nightmare if the Yankees have to go through a route between Houston, Tampa, and Detroit. Because Detroit just kills left-handed pitching, like they just kill it, and the Yankees are left-handed heavy. You also have Tampa, which Kevin Cash will run circles around Aaron Boone in the series. He does it already in the regular season. So what's going to change in the postseason?
Yeah, he's a really good manager. Got to give him credit.
They run the base pass well. What do the Yankees not do? They can't throw guys out at second base either. They run really well.
They run really well. They bunt really well. They do all the little things right. Everything the Yankees don't do right.
And then what else? Then you got Houston, which let's go talk about Houston. They're the team that just doesn't die. They're the cockroach. You think they're dead, but they're not. Astros won on Friday 3-2, and there's a whole debate, the whole debacle with Hunter Brown that he threw at Zach Neto. Zach Neto hit by a pitch. On Saturday, the Angels won 9-1. But as last time I checked the score,
it's 8-5 Astros in the seventh.
So, man, talk about Houston, man. Houston's one of those teams. Joe Espada, they're playing really good ball. Jeremy Payne is playing really good. Well, Hunter Brown's pitching well. There's Framber's back on track. It could be a very tough out for a team in the AL.
Yeah, that 1-2 punch of Brown and Framber in the playoffs would be devastating, especially in a wild card series. You got an elite lefty and an elite righty. Hunter Brown has maybe cooled off a little bit this month. Still has been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball this season. Offensively, they're sixth in average, which is obviously very strong. Starting pitchers are first in strikeouts per nine. Relief pitchers as well are first in that statistic. Third in ERA as a bullpen this season. You have an elite level closer in Hader closing things out. He did give up a walk-off home run to Nick Kurtz on Thursday night, which I think was his first blown save of the season. But Brian Abreu, Josh Hader is an elite 8-9. They have those two guys in the rotation. They have guys producing in the lineup like Isaac Paredes, who has come over to Houston and just, I mean, he loves the Crawford boxes. That dude's
I told you, Isaac Paredes, my guy, Crawford box king. And, Yordan Alvarez, there's a setback in his rehab on Friday, a small hand fracture. But, hey, if he gets healthy in September, oh, boy, man, that team is humming, and they're coming.
You got Jeremy Pena playing probably the best baseball he has, not even probably, the best baseball he's played in his entire career. You have Cam Smith that has been playing much better of late. You would look to have Christian Walker hopefully turn things around for them. Jake Myers, obviously very good defensive center fielder. Like, yeah, man. I mean, it's a question of maybe who's their third guy in the playoffs because they're running a bunch of, a lot of like Ryan Gusto, rookie, Colton Gordon, Brandon Walter, sorry. There's some question marks after Valdez and Brown, but I think they're going to run away with this division. I think they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. Houston is definitely not a team to sleep on right
now. Agreed. Very much agree. Let's keep moving around the nation, as we would like to say, around the diamond. We had the Marlins come down and play the Atlanta Braves. And, of course, Marlins won 2 out of 3. What's up with these Braves? I mean, Ronald Acuna is putting up video game numbers, but the Braves fail to capitalize on an elite player hitting ridiculous numbers.
Yeah, we had one of the youngest pitchers in, I think, like he was since 2016, MLB's youngest pitcher since 2016. Didier Fuentes debuted for the Braves on Friday night, 20 years old. Went 5 innings, 4 earned runs. Marlins won that one. Had home runs from Austin Riley and Agustin Ramirez, who continues to rake. He's up to 11 home runs on the season. Braves won 7-0 on Saturday. Drake Baldwin had a clutch home run there. And then, Marlins won the rubber match today, 5-3. Kyle Stowers, homer. Sandy Alcantara watch. I saw you just picked him up on fantasy. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts today for the mighty Miami Marlins. And if you look at his splits, I'm just going to pull him up because he has been improving. His ERA was astronomical. But if you look in the month of June, 2.12 ERA in June. He's had 3 starts, Colorado, Pittsburgh, and Philly. This doesn't factor in today's start against Atlanta. So his first 3 starts of the month, he's been great. 2 earned runs against Philly, none against Pittsburgh, 2 against Colorado, compared to the 8.64 ERA he had in May and the 9.28 ERA he had in April. So he has certainly turned things around, which is massive for the trade deadline. And I know the ERA on the season isn't pretty, but I still think Sandy Alcantara is going to require a pretty big haul for whatever team is going to try to trade for him, considering he's been improving so much over the past few starts.
The Cubs, maybe?
Cubs will make a lot of sense for Sandy. They need that extra arm with Steele out for the playoffs. We'll see what their rotation looks like with Imanaga coming back from that hamstring, but I still do think, it's been like Ben Brown, Tyone's up and down, but is that really a guy you want to rely on in the playoffs? I know they did pay him, but I think Sandy would make a ton of sense for Chicago.
St. Louis and Cincinnati got after it this weekend. St. Louis won 2 out of 3, winning on Friday 6-1 and winning Saturday 6-5 in extras. I mean, Ellie De La Cruz puking due to excessive heat out in St. Louis. Reds won 4-1 today. Andrew Abbott, again, elite, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned, 3 strikeouts with a 1.79 ERA. Again, will be very interesting to see how both these teams progress in the Wicked Central. Middling teams, Reds do have the Yankees. We'll see how they perform. Chase Burns watch on Tuesday night. Will be interesting to see when they get Hunter Green. So
you think the Cardinals are middling?
Yeah, Cardinals are in the middle.
They're 6 games over 500. I don't think they're middling.
They've regressed back to the mean. From what they started out that they were like pretty hot. Now it's kind of like up, down, up, down, up, down. Like they could have easily lost yesterday in extras.
But they didn't. Arenado had a really big home run in the 9th to send it to extras, and then Pozo walked it off. Andrew Abbott, you said today, obviously was really great. The Heat did look absolutely brutal in St. Louis. All those guys, Andrew Abbott, when he was on the bench, looked exhausted. There was like no one in the stands in the sun just because it looked like it was so hot. So, hot weather around the Midwest right now. Summer is officially in full swing. It feels like. I think the Cardinals are a good team. I think they're going to be there the whole season. I do not think they will be sellers. I think is my official prediction for them.
No, I agree.
Tomorrow kicks off finally the first Cubs-Cardinals series, 4-game set in St. Louis, which will be a huge one. Right now, the Cardinals are 4.5 back of the Cubs, so they're not out of things in that division.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think it'll be a big week for the Cardinals. Let's see how they perform against the Guardians. That could be an eliminator series in my book. Guardians-Cardinals, I expect the Cubs to get quick work of St. Louis this week, and let's see how the Guardians and Cubs play. Guardians and Cardinals.
Yeah, Guardians, Cardinals. Cardinals play, or the Cubs play the Guardians, not this coming week, but the one after, because I'll be going to one of the games.
Yeah. Oh, really? You're going to get more Ohio baseball? I thought you hated the state of Ohio. But
no comment.
You still love going to these Ohio games, Ohio Cup games, all these. I thought you'd be at this weekend's game with the Mariners.
I know. I thought about it, but busy weekend.
Busy weekend. Fair enough. Let's go out to see what happened in the Milwaukee-Minnesota series. I mean, the Brewers won 17-6. Jacob Misiorowski, my phone's getting blown up with notifications. He was elite. He was one of my guys I said in the prospect hall last year, he is the first only MLB pitcher since the 1900s to have more wins than hits allowed in his first 2 career starts. He has 2 wins and he's only allowed 1 hit. Yelich went 4 for 6 with 8 RBIs, which tied a franchise record. And then you had Joey Ortiz going 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Brewers really hot. Twins, not so much. Twins are 1 out of the last 10. Twins may be slowly fading out, and it might be time soon to put them on life support. They got 3 against the Mariners at home starting this week. 4, and then they get the Tigers. So it's going to be a tough week before they come down to Miami and get the Marlins.
Yeah, Brewers swept this series. They won today 9-8. They won yesterday, Saturday 9-0. Brewers have been playing good baseball. They're up to 8 games over 500, their highest mark of the season. I feel like they're a team that's just nobody is talking about, but they continue to play good baseball. Misiorowski is a true difference maker, it seems like, as a starter. As you mentioned, the first starter since 1900 to have more wins than hits allowed in his first 2 career starts. Crazy statistic there. And I don't know. I like what I've seen from Yelich. Yelich has been playing really good baseball. Obviously, you got to love the 8 home run or 8 ribbies on Friday. He had 2 more hits today. If you look at his splits in June, he's hitting 345, which is crazy, with a 933 OPS, 2 homers, 14 ribbies. He's been really good. So I don't know. Like, it just feels like the Brewers are always one of those teams that they're just always there. They're kind of like the Rays of the National League. They always figure out how to put together a decent little ball club. They're 3.5 back of the Cubs for that division right now, and they are holding the 3rd wild card spot in the National League. It'll be interesting to see, because they've been running McGill as closer, if they get into some of these high leverage games late into September and maybe even in like the wild card series, if they make it, if not having Devin Williams will have an impact on their season. Now, again, having him last year hurt them against the Mets, but still, in the grand scheme of like a 162 game season, having an elite closer makes a big difference. We'll see. It seems like they're kind of just one of those teams that will lose guys and they'll still win. So good series sweep for them. I think the Twins will be sellers. And Byron Buxton.
Yeah.
Byron Buxton is a name, I think, to watch at the trade deadline that no one's talking about. Homered again today.
Misiorowski skiing this week. You excited for that one? Brewers, Pirates.
Yeah, Wednesday. I mean, that 2 of the best young pitchers in the game, I guess, at this point, even though Misiorowski's only had 2 career starts. Looks like he's the truth. And it's going up against Pittsburgh lineup that you can definitely get at. So
StatCast lineups StatCast is gonna break.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably.
Arizona, Colorado, Diamondbacks won the series, winning 14-8 on Friday, and then 5-3 on Saturday. I believe that game is still in progress as we speak.
Rockies
just went final. Yeah.
Rockies got the 4-2 win on Sunday. Mickey Moniak is up to 11 home runs on the season. Kind of nice to see him having a little figure it out type of season. He's hitting 245 on the year. With a 795 OPS and now 11 home runs. Maybe a nice little highlight for Colorado. I think one thing to note from this series is that Corbin Carroll was out of the lineup today for the 3rd straight game after getting hit by a pitch on the left hand in the Toronto series in the Wednesday game. He got x-rays after that game. They were negative, but he's going to undergo an MRI on Monday when the team arrives in Chicago to play the White Sox. So that's something to note. The Diamondbacks are a game above 500 after today's loss. They currently sit 3.5 back of the Brewers for that 3rd wildcard spot in the National League. I think the Diamondbacks could sell Eugenio Suarez and still be contenders with Jordan Lawler playing 3rd base. Kind of random, but they're kind of like one of those teams that's in between selling and buying. Gallen had another bad start on Friday night, 700 runs across 5 innings. I'm losing patience with him as a fantasy owner. Eugenio Suarez, 2 home run night on Friday, up to 25 on the season now because he homered again on Saturday. But they need closer. If they want to go for it, they need a closer. They probably need another bat and probably another starter with Corbin Burns going down. So I think the Carroll injury is something to watch with the D-backs.
Maybe they do a soft sell guys on 1-year contracts and reload for next year.
Yeah, because
That
they're
that
all
that
in. I mean, they're all in with the way they've been spending. Yeah.
Yeah, so clear some money off the books, maybe. We'll see. Next series we're gonna go to Kansas City, San Diego. Series is split. Royals won 6-5, and the Padres won 5-1 yesterday. They're currently in progress right now, tied 2-2. I mean, Tatis came back, had a 3-run homer last night, making it 5-1. Which I mean, after the whole brawl and debacle that happened uh, with the Dodgers, where he got plunked and then Ohtani got plunked, there were some comments made. Pray to God his hand's okay.
Seems like it is.
It is. Moving on, Cleveland went to Sacramento. They're currently in progress. They're also split. A's won the first game 5-1 on Friday. Jeffrey Springs went crazy with 7 1/3 pitch, 3 hits, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts. Tanner Bybee pitched 8 and struck out 10 while giving up 4 earned. Kurtz went yard, and then Martinez also went yard. Then Luis Ortiz had a really nice start yesterday against the Guardians, winning 4-2. 6 innings
Against the
pitched.
A's.
Yep, two hits, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. Again, Luis Ortiz has good stuff. It's just that consistency with him. I think that's the thing that many Guardians fans want to see out of him.
Yeah, it looks like the Guardians are going to finish off the series win today. They're up 3-0 in the bottom of the ninth with 1 out, and Clase is on the mound. Slade Ciccone, great start, 7 innings, 6 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Only 79 pitches for him, so he was really good. Nick Kurtz is a beast. I mean, up to 10 home runs on the season. He's been great, but yeah, it looks like the Guardians are going to win that series, move to 2 games over 500 out west.
The Boston series. Boston's right now currently at San Francisco to Devers' revenge game. Devers had a homer off his boy Brian Bello. Giants won 3-2 on Saturday, but the Sox won 7-5 on Friday. Looks like that game will go to the Giants as it is currently 8-5, entering the 8th inning.
Yeah, I
Very
have that
interesting.
one on. I
Yeah,
have that one on my phone. Cora just got tossed. Duran looked pissed. I missed
yeah,
exactly what happened, but the the Giants were losing, and then they came back in the middle half of that game. But yeah, it looks like it looks like the Giants are going to win 2 out of 3.
Durant hasn't been that great. Sunday night baseball game tonight is the Phillies versus the Mets. Let's see what Jesus Luzardo comes out tonight. Will we get elite Jesus Luzardo, or will we get the one that gives up 13 earned? Phillies won 10-2 on Friday night, and then the Mets bashed 7 solo homers to snap the 7-game losing streak as they won 11-4 on Saturday night. Uh,
Yeah,
Francisco Alvarez was optioned to AAA.
yeah, that was an interesting move. I'm surprised you brought this one up, considering your love for the Mets. They continue to struggle, but I think this will probably be the least watched Sunday night baseball game of the season because we have Game 7 tonight. To be honest.
Oh, 100%. We'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. And then finally, last series going on right now. Dodgers have a belt ass situation right now, up 11-3, heading into the 8th inning. They won Friday night 6-5. Kershaw went 5 innings, 2 earned, 4 strikeouts. Gore went 5 2/3, 5 earned, 4 strikeouts. And then the Nationals won 7-3. Nathaniel Lowe had a 2-homer night last night. James Wood hit homer
Trade
21.
deadline piece.
Again, James Wood hit a 451 nuke generational power bat at this point. Might have to stamp that one on as you posted the clip. In other news, Shohei pitched today.
He
He
did.
pitched an inning, and he was able to strike out 2. But there's some concerns with his bat, and
With his
he's
what?
4 for his bat. Entering today's game, he's 4 for 23 with 11 strikeouts and 1 extra base hit since Monday. But Dave Roberts said it wasn't fatigue. Internal swing metrics, analytics says the metrics are in line. For what it's worth, before Monday's first start, his bat speed, his swing speed was 76.2 miles an hour. It's gone down to 75.4. Just putting that out there.
It is interesting because he is so busy with the pitching stuff, ramping back up into that. In June, he's hitting 260 with an 804 OPS, which would be the worst by a wide margin in terms of all of his monthly splits. So, and he only has 3 home runs in June, compared to the 15 he hit in May. I don't know. We'll see. Dodgers continue to win though. Max Muncy 2 home run game today. The Nationals were winning 3-0 heading into the 6th, and then the Dodgers kind of went nuclear, 4 in the 6th, 7 in the 7th, and they're going to win that series.
We'll see what happens. Who do you got tonight? Game 7.
Yeah, I mean, I want the Pacers to win. Obviously, it would be awesome to see them like kind of really pull off like one of the true Cinderella runs of all time in basketball, because it feels like the best team always wins in basketball, and the Pacers have been like a true underdog. That said, I think OKC probably wins tonight, but it feels like we could have a special game. It feels like we could have a special classic game, especially if Indiana wins, it's going to be an all-time classic. I don't think Indiana's going to win big. If Indiana wins, it's going to be really close. So my pick is my pick is the Thunder, but I want the Pacers.
I got the Pacers. It's going to go up in Mass Avenue tonight. Mass Avenue will not exist by tomorrow. Kilroy's will not exist. Broad Ripple will be in shambles.
Be a fun time to be in Indianapolis for sure. We'll see.
Well,
we'll see.
I got the Pacers. Halliburton, the squad gonna get it done. Tricky Ricky is gonna do it. I'm not about the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander stuff. So
all the pressure's on the Thunder, man.
100%.
The Pacers have been playing with house money essentially the whole playoffs. So obviously there's a lot of pressure on them, just with jitters and stuff. But the Thunder are the one that are expected to win. We'll see.
7. The Pacers have been underdogs for 17 out of their last 23 playoff games.
And here they are, Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Truly some voodoo magic going up there in Indiana, up in Carmel or Zionsville, wherever they train.
I don't know where I think they just practice downtown. Not sure.
Downtown at the bridge.
At Game Bridge. Used to be Banker's Life when I was there.
It's the bridge. Game sliders up. Game
sliders up. All right. Well, I hope the Pacers win. We won with this podcast. It was a lot of fun. We'll be back, I think, probably Thursday night. Yankees don't have a game that day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Cincy. And then, of course, the weekend series back home against the A's. Be recapping that. The Yankee series. We'll be recapping the midweek series in baseball. Maybe we'll do a gimmick. I think it's time to do a gimmick for the next episode.
Maybe. But
maybe early trade deadline, or we could do like all-star stuff. We'll talk about it off pod.
Sadly, we won't have Chris Sale to talk about. He's on the IL. We forgot to mention that. 15-day fractured ribcage. So we'll see.
Yeah, that stinks. Nonetheless, great episode. Luis, hope you had a great birthday weekend, of course. And we'll be back later this week. Until then, catch you guys next time. Peace out.